All you Portuguese Cowboys. Oh, that's not till later.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Oh no, it's not Elon speaking. Sometimes I forget to take off the opening image, like this morning. Hello! Hey, what did I mean to say there? Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. What a day for Elon yesterday. It looked like it went terribly, didn't it? But I am reliably informed that that was part of the plan, just to get the rocket off the ground. Interesting, isn't it? Why is it that they could get a man up onto the moon in the 60s, but they can't seem to emulate such feats in this modern time? I wonder, can't AI do it? How are you this morning? We're putting the sex into sexta-feira. Mrs. M's been in the studio before me. It's always a little bit warm and wonky. That's my review of Mrs. M's appearance in the studio. Not her quality on screen, of course. Warm and wonky. She wouldn't like that, would she? But the residue of being in a studio, I guess it's what radio presenters have to put up with as they follow each other into studios. Seats nice and warm. Faders in different positions to how I left them. That happened last night. Warming up, getting ready for the Expats Portugal Zoom call with ACP about exchanging driving licenses. Some of you might like to watch the replay of that if you weren't there last night at 7:30. But I couldn't hear my guests. She turned the PC, the computer fader down on the desk. So a little bit of a hairy moment. But then again, who doesn't like a hairy moment? Well, that was in the early evening rather than first thing in the morning. Hashtag, what is it? We've never explored this hashtag, haven't we? Who doesn't like? So WDL FTITM. WDLFTITM would be who doesn't like first thing in the morning? Who doesn't like what first thing in the morning? Your comments, please, about that in the chat. So how are you today? I see that Coach Turner, T-Duck and James have been chatting very pleasantly as they do. The four horsemen of the summer of love, I'll call them today. Excellent contributions. Coach Turner will be on the screen with Big Phil at around 9 o'clock this morning. And we've got Raquel from Lighthouse Consulting joining us at 9:32. Mrs. M will be popping in. And the Iberian FM phone-in will be a little bit different today. We are doing, well, it's a music review in a way, but we've got the artist himself joining us, Ron Rogers. Do you remember when we played Portuguese Cowboy? He's the man behind the album and the track, Portuguese Cowboys, and we'll be talking to Ron and playing three of my favorites from his album. That wasn't easy, I can tell you. They're all great tracks. There are 8 tracks on the album. 1960s psychedelia meets Texas twang. This isn't my review. This is what's on Bandcamp, and you'll find out more later at 10 o'clock. But meets Texas twang with rock and roll roots. Storytelling songwriter Ron Rogers introduces his latest 8-song album. The album was recorded with the help of some very good friends who are also excellent musicians. That's so true. 3 of the songs were recorded in LA and the rest were recorded in Porto, Portugal, where I currently reside. I wonder if I've chosen tunes that were made here in Portugal. If you were interested in my review, my summation, and it's not nice, is it? The 2 things I think that must be difficult for musicians when having their work examined, analyzed, reviewed, is comparisons with other musicians. So I'll steer clear of that, although there are some irresistible likenesses. and also being reduced to a soundbite. Here's mine. Portuguese Cowboys glows with strong, skillful, and seasoned musicianship. The melodies are from the get-go catchy, delightfully engaging, with Ron's lyrics both intriguing and poignant. A journey, a treat, and of rare quality. That's what I'm saying about the Portuguese Cowboys album. Actually, if you want to get your own copy, I'll put the link to it into the chat. Now, thoroughly recommend it. 8 tracks. And on Bandcamp currently under Ron Rogers. He's recorded 5 albums, I believe, and this is his latest. He's even painted some of the artwork. What an incredibly gifted person he is, and we'll be talking to him after 10 o'clock. You can ring in if you want and ask him some questions after we've had a chance to have a chat, of course, from around 10. So there you go, Ron Rogers on Bandcamp there. That's where you can buy the Portuguese Cowboys album if you like that tune when we played it before. Okay, I was just thinking to myself, wow, the Iberian FM phone-in are posting up comments. It's me, you silly fool, honestly. Pete's in, Francis is in, Matty's in too. How's it going with that house of yours, Matty? And lots of other lurkers this morning. Come on, say hi. Let's all put the sex into Sexta-feira today. Okay. Excellent stuff. Happy Friday from T-Duck, which reminds me, got a message from T-Duck. You're being spoken about on the Spain Speaks. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos dias. Stuart here from Spain Speaks. And getting a little bit of heat there from Good Morning Portugal. I think I'm going to be on the Stuart's Spain Speaks show. My goodness. Sometime soon. He's invited me on because somebody in the chat and if I'm looking especially craggy this morning, it's because we're in 720 rather than 360. There was a strange glow to the camera on 360, so I'm going out in craggy 720 definition, which I believe is high definition, not super high definition or definition enhanced with AI or anything like that. God forbid, eh? But yeah, if I'm looking a little bit knackered and craggy, it's because I am, and the camera's capturing it really well. Happy Friday, T-Duck. And yes, I was reminded because I got a message from T-Duck saying, you're being talked about on Spain Speaks. This was just before I was about to do the webinar for Expats Portugal, which was very good, actually. The ACP staff were talking to us about driving license exchange and car ownership in Portugal. Well worth watching. And the Dream Team session was fantastic as well. But I was about to go and do that when I was getting messages to say that I was being talked about on Spain Speaks. Why? Because that Good Morning Portugal show is just about selling luxury property to rich people. Really good review, huh, of what we do here, just like we're doing now, selling expensive property to rich people. I can't wait to be on that show and deal with those scurrilous rumors. So thanks for the heads up there, T-Duck. And I've already emailed Stuart, so looking forward to having a chat with him and settling those rumors. It's the world we live in at the moment, isn't it? Deep thought. I wonder if this is connected in any way. The silent bear no witness against themselves. Aldous Huxley. I need a little bit of time to process that. The silent, I thought it was the silent bear, like a reference to Russia, not very silent bear, perhaps. The silent bear, no witness. The silent bear, no witness against themselves. I don't understand that. Can that be explained to me? I'm not getting that in this Feelgood Friday mood that I'm in, where possibly my concentration and focus isn't the best for processing deep thoughts right now. But the silent bear, no witness against themselves. If that's poignant for you, and I want to understand it, please decode that for me in the chat this morning. Portuguese saying of the day then, em casa. This is quite the collection. We put all of these on the GMP VIP site, and we've not missed a beat with these wonderful contributions from T-Duck. They're all over there, you GMP VIPs, if you want to. They're in a long thread in the timeline. And today's is em casa. This will go up there later on. Em casa de Ferreiro o pior apeiro. Nice when they rhyme, isn't it? In the blacksmith's house, the worst hut. Yes, it's the cobbler's children that are the most poorly shod, isn't it? And the builder's house that isn't quite finished. We get it. In casa de Ferreiro o pior apeiro, there in a blacksmith's house, it's the worst hut. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that Portuguese saying. And let's get straight into some quem sabia. Who knew? Portuguese cuisine is very diverse. The Portuguese consume a lot of dry cod, bacalhau, for which there are hundreds of recipes. We love these factoids. They also go up in the GMP VIP area. Grilled sardines are also very popular. And caldeirada is a tomato-based stew. Talking of stews, she's my little. I'm not going to get my way out of this. I don't know what said that. We've got no lights. I'm sorry. The studio is so poorly prepared, and I've said this. You are okay. I'll come back to that because I need to. I know I want to be in a hot pot with you. I'll put your microphone up until you're ready to come on, so people can at least hear your voice and your coughing in the background there. And what was that? That was an ominous. That was an ominous noise. The computer doing something to itself.
Really?
Calderada.
How very
The computer is also putting the sex into sexta-feira.
Yeah, how fruity.
Calderada, my lovely little stew, is a tomato-based stew that can be made from several types of fish or mollusks.
Ooh.
With a bit of bivalve business there.
No, can't have that
with
in
a
this
mix
household.
with a mix of onion, garlic, bay leaf, potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, parsley, or coriander. My mouth is watering. I could eat that right now. And I could eat you right now, Mrs. M. Let's bring you onto the screen. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't got the chance to see what I look like yet.
You look beautiful, of course. There she is, everybody. Way! My little Calderada is here on the screen with us. We're not finished yet. Let's see if she compares to these other inscriptions and shares from T-Duck this morning. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I feel particularly craggy and exhausted at the end of this week.
Is that what you're saying about me?
No.
I went like this.
You are a rose. Oh no, I'm saying you're a rose next to a thorn. At which point you're supposed to, thanks.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, very good. All right, typical Portuguese meat recipes. Mate, that was a really good impersonation.
Go on.
Typical.
That was a really good impersonation. That wasn't very good.
You're like my AI, aren't you?
I'm like one of our kids.
Within seconds.
Repeating exactly what we say, mimicking.
I know what I am, but what are you?
I know what I am, but what are you?
Typical Portuguese meat recipes.
Typical Portuguese
meat
recipes.
Okay, enough now. And this is what we have to say to the kids, isn't it? And they don't stop. You made yourself cough. Let me turn your fader down for a minute. Thank you for very thoughtful.
Does anyone else play that game with their kids?
I expect so. Some of the immature, or should I call them youthful people, play that with their partners, I expect. Can you imagine? Do it today. If you haven't done that for years, try it out with the next person. Do it today.
Try it out with the next person.
Okay. It's wearing a little bit thin now.
It's wearing a little bit of... Hang on.
Wearing a little bit of thin now. Please, will you let me continue? I'm attempting to be professional here.
I'm attempting to be professional here.
How long is she going to keep this up, folks?
How long is she going to keep this up for, folks?
Oh, no, there will be people laughing and people screaming. There will be people siding with me and siding with you now.
There will be people siding with me and siding with you. It's a Marmite moment. Typical Portuguese recipe. It's a typical Portuguese recipe.
All right, that's enough.
Okay. All right.
Typical and next step blocking of your own show.
Oh, cancel culture. Wow.
No.
Didn't think we were going to get
Cancerian culture. See what I did there?
Yeah, very clever.
Typical Portuguese meat recipes made out of beef, pork, goats, chicken, lamb, duck. I'm trying to read something from Tabitha. We do not need that sort of encouragement.
I really don't need any encouragement.
Where was
at all.
I? A typical Portuguese meat recipe.
Made out of beef, pork, chicken, goat, lamb, duck. Include cogida a portuguesa. Oh, am I on the wrong one?
No, I'm just annoying you. See, the boot is on the other foot now.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
It doesn't take me long to slip back into professionalism.
Yes.
Unlike some others.
Come on, give us your foot.
What? Okay. Typical Portuguese meat recipes. We will get through this, everybody. Typical Portuguese meat recipes made out of beef, pork. Could you not just rub the same bit over and over?
Okay, sorry.
As the actress said to the bishop. Or was it the bishop? The bishop probably said that to the actress.
Yeah.
Typical Portuguese meat recipes made out of beef, pork, chicken, goat, lamb, duck include cogida portuguesa. That is a very special recipe. Not the most appealing to look at, but it is so deep in the hearts of Portuguese people as a comfort food. We got the feijoada, which we have tried memorably, haven't we, Mrs. M? Mm-hmm. Frango de churrasco, leitão, chanfana, and carne de porco.
I'm not familiar with chanfana.
Aren't you? Isn't that a goat?
That's why I'm not familiar with it.
Would you not eat goat?
It's not that I wouldn't eat it. I just haven't fancied it.
Okay, that's what I call it,
I
Shamfana.
did actually see it. It's being sold in Mercadona.
Yeah, and
Mercadonald's, as we call it.
Lighthouse and Shamfana certainly help when it comes to the literal translations of what baby pig or baby goat, don't they? Which can understandably put people off. A popular northern dish is dobrada. Look at this, a tripe with white beans and carrots. Again,
What is tripe?
Tripe is the gut, the lining of the gut.
Oh,
Usually, I think of cows. That would be tripe, and there are all sorts of associations with tripe, aren't there? It's thought to be the food of the poor, the offal, of course. And I don't know if it gets bleached or if it, because of all the hydrochloric acid in the gut, that it's naturally looks white and bleached. Have we got a tripe expert? Some might say you're already looking at one, and he's speaking on the screen at the moment. But I don't mean that. A tripe expert. Can someone give us more on that? Somebody may well look that up on Wikipedia. It won't be me this morning because I've got enough on my plate right now, including a dobrada with white beans and carrots, often served with steamed rice. That's an interesting distinction. So do the Portuguese tend to steam their rice, do you think, rather than cook it? I'm watching Beef on Netflix. It's all about the rice cookers on there.
Based on how the rice appears at the table, I think it's done in a saucepan. I think they boil their rice.
So this is a bit different when you go up
north
north and have
we
yourself
steam our
a
rice,
dobrada.
don't we?
We
Steamed
do.
rice is
we've
very
had
different.
the same rice cooker now for what?
We need a new one, actually.
Shall I treat you to a new rice cooker for our 10th wedding anniversary? That's the romance.
I would love
is not
that.
dead,
I
is
would
it?
absolutely love that.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want us? I mean, ours is very basic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's probably given us a lot of
I
aluminium.
want one that's not. Yeah,
I
want one that's not aluminium.
Do you not like aluminium with your rice?
No, thanks.
Okay. Peri peri chicken is a spicy charcoal chicken dish served with fries and vegetables. And with your mum and dad in town, and it being a Friday night, that's probably what we're going to have tonight, right?
I wondered why you went from vegetables to my mum and dad. In one sentence, in one breath.
Right. Okay.
Freudian slip.
No,
who knows?
Not at all.
How
awful of you to even say that. I don't know why I bring you here on a Friday morning. I think I do. So I can look at you, despite all the horrid things you say.
So that I can rub your feet under the table.
You can. All right, I'm going to change over to the next one in a minute. That's my foot, not the next comment. And we forgot, can I have a reminder, please? Because I am forgetting the dad jokes more and more.
Oh, okay.
Is it the aluminium in the rice cooker? I don't know. But let's go back to yesterday's. Oh, happy 420 to anyone who celebrated yesterday. 20th of April, of course. When I'm scrolling through all these memes people send me, I've got to be so careful here.
You do really get sent a lot of memes, don't you?
I get sent some fabulous material.
You do, yeah. You've done that. You've already told that joke.
No, I didn't. You saw it on the screen yesterday.
Oh,
and you said it was very good.
I did, yeah. Okay.
Who is it who's got the bad memory here? You or me? Or do we take it in turns?
I think we take it in turns.
All right, let's recycle in the traditional style of the dad joke. Let's recycle yesterday's dad jokes. Oh my goodness, a lot of comments. We've got so much to get through. Mrs. M. Anyone looking to buy a DeLorean? Good shape, low mileage, only driven from time to time.
Very good.
Very good, huh?
Very good.
Should you store dad jokes?
In a database.
A database!
Very good.
These are great, aren't they? These are yesterday.
That's one our kids would like.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't work in Portuguese, does it? Like a paia base.
Yeah, well, our kids don't work in Portuguese either, so that's fine.
Must try harder. I went to a smoke shop only to discover it had been replaced by an apparel store. Was that like a 420 reference there? I went to a smoke shop only to discover it had been replaced by an apparel store. Go on, Mrs. M.
Close, but not.
So the perils of live transmission.
Close.
Would you like to do that again?
But no cigar.
All right, let's just pretend none of that happened.
Okay.
I went to a smoke shop, Mrs. M.
Did
only
you?
to discover it had been replaced by an apparel store.
Close, but no cigar.
Yes, very good this morning. And we are in the back of the van with Phil this morning as well, aren't we? He's limbering up in Central Portugal. Okay, let's scroll back to today's dad jokes. Squirrel them away for the end of the show today so that we can share them. Maybe we'll do that at past. When we welcome Raquel, and we've got Phil and we've got Ian, just so we can see as many faces on the screen responding to the dad
I love
jokes.
This joke.
What today's? We can't do it. We can't do it. No. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz sexta a todos. Como vão? from James.
I do like how you do that sexy kind of
Portugal.
Yeah, your Portuguese voiceover.
I would like to be hired. A God Squad tip of the day is I'm also.
I actually think your Portuguese voice sounds kind of sexier.
What, than my normal voice, my everyday voice?
Yeah, because you do something, it's kind of deep and gravelly.
See, Phil's responding to that and wondering what I'm going to say next. Controversy. We all like a bit of controversy, especially when it's someone else's, don't we? Yay! Phil's thinking, what's going to happen now? So if I were to speak with my Portuguese sexy accent with English, like, looking forward to you. And then it goes into, and then it always slips.
It always ends up as Antonio Banderas.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like the cat.
It's not good.
Yeah. I am looking forward to joining you all a little later. It doesn't work, does it? No. Okay. All right. So Coach Tenor is looking forward to joining us all a little later. He's getting ready in his dressing room, changing out of his smoking jacket. It's his silk smoking jacket, because he probably has like 5 pints and a few cigarettes before he comes and joins us. Only kidding. Before he changes into his tracksuit. Bom dia, criaturas de Pombal, Consol. He got put right about that. He used to say Solera. He had a different adjective, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Then he got coached, schooled by Philomena last Friday. And now look, Console. Can't be here for the show. What? Because we can say anything we want about Matty now, because I head to my property. Listen to him. I'm heading to my property, everybody. Have a great show. We want to see some video, some drone footage. Please, Matty, when you come back. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a dry, lovely blue sky, Belfast. 8 degrees. What's that to HP? What does that mean? And then 15 degrees, rising up to 15 degrees. Then, 15, maybe high pressure. I don't know. Then then it wouldn't be. Anyway, 15 to 16 degrees. Then a big drop tomorrow to Wednesday. Cold snap returns. Will light my big house fire, fireplace fire.
So answer in the chat room as to what HP is.
Could be a typo. It does happen as people type in haste. Bon dia, Gumpers. Yesterday's milestone du jour. First lawn mowing and inauguration of our Husqvarna electric mower.
Sounds good.
João de Nort.
I think we saw a photo of that as well.
He sent me a video. Yeah. He said, "Who doesn't like trimming their lawn first thing in the morning?" Cheeky. And with the noise that machine was making, I was saying probably your neighbours, John, because it's a noisy beast. His Husqvarna. Have we got Baddy here to help us with that translation? Francis also in. Bon dia, feliz fin de semana. Very good. And so nice. I didn't read it first. Oh, it's okay. It's safe. So nice to be back home, says Pete. Trying to sleep in a Tesla in the center of Madrid is not great when you realize everyone can see in.
What were you doing in the back of your car?
What were you doing in the Tesla in the center of Madrid?
Was it a sexy meetup or something? Or
I wonder what was going on there.
Yeah.
And if Tesla's got special windows where people... that would make sense with a Tesla, wouldn't it? That people can see in, but you can't see out. You don't have to look at mere mortals who haven't got EVs.
But you can let people see.
But they can all look at you and go,
"Oh,
look, it's an EV driver with a Tesla." Yeah. And were you getting messages on your dashboard from Elon?
Why were you trying to sleep in a Tesla in the center of Madrid? If you've got money for a Tesla, Pete, surely you can hire a really nice room for the night.
Think so,
Did you get caught short or something?
It's very personal.
Sorry.
Well,
no, I'm curious.
I'm
curious. I mean, maybe the Tesla is so comfortable that you want to sleep in it. I mean, to be fair, when we're in our camper van, we didn't really sleep in it that often, did we? Because
there were four of us.
You all did, and I didn't, because I was always the last one to fall asleep.
And
I'd be like this, with everyone around me,
snoring and drooling.
So maybe the Tesla is a luxury sleeping experience.
But there must be a button you can press, and it just turns into a hotel. You'd have thought, wouldn't you? Anyway, my car, Pete, please explain yourself. My car for its MOT tomorrow is the worst test you'll ever do. After work this morning, I'll get the car washed. Yeah, that'll help, won't it? That'll be psychologically helpful at the MOT centre because it looks like you care for your vehicle. But maybe those sticklers will not be fooled by that.
I'm sure lots of people have done that before.
Good luck, Deagle. Hope it's cheap and painless. You're like Portugal. Mutual friend had 2 bumpers held on with duct tape.
Was that our car?
And 3 windows stuck. Still passed.
That's so good.
My favourite was seeing. I was driving along the waterfront in Lisbon a few years back, and one of those old granddad killers came past. That's what
granddad
they call
killer.
Them. Yeah, Matavelha. Those little vehicles that have got a motorbike engine, and they come past you with often an old couple in them, and it had a hardboard wing They'd made a wing out of hardboard and just sort of fashioned it around the
That's
wheel.
so sweet.
It was great. It was
I mean,
really
do
good.
those even need to have an MOT?
Or a wing. That was very
Yeah.
thoughtful. Yeah. I think they don't have to have the highest levels of taxation and insurance, and that's why they're so popular. But they're not cheap to buy. Bon dia, Humper. What? Dougie's, don't call me that publicly.
How did you know?
Yeah, don't call me that
How
publicly.
rude.
We are in, look, would you like to read this out, Mrs. M?
Oh, Piniscola. Sorry.
Again, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Piniscola.
And one more time.
Penis cola.
No, fourth time. And can you get it right this time, please? I'll have a glass of penis cola. Who does that in Spain? Peniscola.
Okay.
Peniscola. Peniscola perfection. And if you've got really good eyesight, you will see in the last paragraph that we're mentioned.
Are you?
In there. Yeah.
How, in what way? In what context?
The fact I think that we make the odd pun from time to time. Who doesn't like a cup of Peniscola?
I'd like a bit of penis cola.
And practice Portuguese. Look,
penis cola actually sounds quite good.
Do you think that could catch on?
I think it
didn't
could.
Richard Branson already try and do that? And it didn't.
He
work?
did virgin cola.
Oh, and condoms.
Yeah.
Of course, didn't he? Yeah, okay. Practice Portuguese. I found the first edition of the Good Morning Portugal radio show, and there's a little clip of me talking to Rui and Joel of
from
Practice
5
Portuguese.
years ago.
It was amazing.
Is that
it was
how
amazing.
long it was?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Quick look at the news. It's very depressing, the Portugal news and the Portugal resident. I want to draw your attention specifically to not feeding the birds in, I think this is in, where is that? Oh, Villarreal de Sant Antonio.
God, you could get a €7,600 fine.
I mean, what's happened to the world? What has happened to the world?
You're not allowed to feed.
What I don't like about that is it looks like peace is not allowed, doesn't it? No peace.
You're not allowed to feed the dogs.
It's like no peace for the wicked sign, isn't it? Please do not be peaceful here. And I mean, couldn't they not, given that we live in a world of Canva?
And also, I mean, yeah, they could have done a much better job. I mean, that line actually skewers through it like they've sacrificed it. Yeah, like they've run a stake through it.
Yeah, so
that's
please,
horrible.
that is awful. And learning, I didn't notice that you could be fined €7,600 for chucking one of your chips on a good day to a pigeon just as an act of kindness, a random act of kindness.
Oh my word.
And that terrible graphic. I mean, that to me looks, I remember that looks like something from Sunday school, doesn't it? You know.
Also, it's held on, and you'll love this. It's held on with cable ties.
Yeah. But what isn't in Portugal?
To be fair, that just looks like it's not an official. That to me looks like someone else has done that.
Somebody, an angry sailor who's fed up with having their boat crapped on by seagulls and pigeons, possibly, who are drawn to the tourists who feed them.
Who doesn't like being crapped on first thing in the morning? I mean,
Not me.
I don't.
Not me.
I mean, we did.
I hope nobody likes that here.
Yeah,
in this
I'm kind of hoping nobody.
Take a look at yourself if that is your thing.
Do you know what? Well, I mean, fair enough if that's what floats your boat.
Turner's lost it.
I mean, we did once.
No, we did not.
No. Let me finish my sentence.
Yeah, please do.
And that's where sentences are really important.
Yes,
like
life sentences for feeding the pigeons eventually. Yes.
No, but once in Teignmouth in the south of England, we did throw a load of
coming on.
We did throw a load of chips on top of our car where we had a
camper van with a sunroof.
Yes. No, I don't think we're in a camper van. I think we were somewhere else with a sunroof. Oh no, it would have been our camper van.
It was our camper van.
Just so that our son could see all the seagulls come swooping down.
Yeah.
And it was a mad frenzy, and it was really
exciting. Noisy. It was quite frightening. It became Hitchcock-esque, didn't it? Because I thought they were going to peck through the sunroof at one point.
It did look like that.
It kind of backfired. It would have been a great
But it was really fun, wasn't it? I mean, and that was almost, before people had their phones out all the time, because we could have recorded it and got some great footage.
Who doesn't like a bit of hand pink waving in the morning? What is that?
What?
Okay, seriously, look, that's translated as hand pink wave. We've got lots of comments.
Pink wave. What?
Yeah, that's Kelly Garcia undercover, who will be joining us at 9:30. We know why you look a bit cracky. You shouldn't take 426 seriously, girl. Stop it. Pas réveiller à 7h de la journée. Do you like my French accent? Joyeuse vendredi.
I actually prefer your Portuguese accent.
Really, c'est la plume de ma tante.
Yeah, because that just sounds.
Ils habitent à l'aéroport d'Orly, près de Paris.
No.
Portuguese.
Doing
Okay.
it for me.
Tintin, look, this is like production. One comment connected to the next. We go from the French words of Tabitha to the French name of Tintin. Tintin le Chat. Yeah, is that his full name? Tintin le Chat up there in the north of Portugal.
No, his name is Tintin Catface.
Yeah, but he is Tintin le Chat, isn't he?
Okay, I guess.
Le Chat Noir.
He's not noir.
Is he not?
No.
I thought he was. He's back safely from his snipping. It seems he hardly noticed. I think I would have flipping noticed that. Not that I'm thinking of having that.
When are we having Jimmy
It's
done?
my favourite vasectomy joke. Cable tie. We're in Portugal. A cable tie will sort that out. It seems he hardly noticed. Barely an inconvenience. Would you like to hear my favourite vasectomy joke, Mrs. M?
Go on.
I had a vasectomy recently, and you say, did you have it done privately? Okay, so just a little bit of background.
Okay.
I had a vasectomy recently, Mrs. M.
Did you have it done privately?
Bloody hope so. Hey! Okay.
Are you going to have a vasectomy?
No, I am not.
Okay.
And we're not having a poll or anything like that. Should Carl have a vasectomy? That's the worst typo today. Phil, stop it. That's the worst typo today. Someone's going to say, yeah, I've had it done. It's easy. It's like just, hour surgery, little micro cable tie. It's just fine. Ment bon dia, compadres. Good morning.
We might be able to get like a double, like we might be able to get a special
job
deal.
lot.
Yeah, you and Jimmy can have your balls done at the same time.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a different procedure for the pair of us. And
Okay.
at which point, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to give them a big round. I'm going to give them a big hand.
You're bringing your boys on, aren't
I
you? For a bit of
am.
support.
Back up. Help me out here, fellas, please. Good morning to you.
Morning, Carl. Morning, Louisa.
Morning.
Hello.
Morning, Carl. Morning, Louisa.
Good morning.
Now, how do I back up the truck out of
Oh,
How did you do
and
that?
Joey says good morning too. Oh, he's going off like a Roman candle today. He is. Bugger he is. By the way, if you want a really good French accent, the way to get into the mindset is to pretend you've just smoked 20 Gauloises one after the other. And you go, oh, bloody hell. I am now French because my throat is fucked. Pardon my language, so sorry.
I used to smoke for a while when I lived there. So.
Did
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's such a rip, isn't it?
No, well, I was in my 20s. It felt good.
Did you have a beret as well and a
No,
string
I
of
didn't,
onions?
no.
I mean, you might as well have gone the whole hog with that.
No.
Okay, Coach Turner. Good morning. I think Phil is muted
Morning.
because we've got Joey, who is
looping.
joining us. Well, we can put up with a bit.
He's
of that. We're in
doing
Portugal,
his
aren't we?
French mime act.
No,
See, we're all doing it with you.
Le chien sauvage. Okay, all right. Well, he's doing Marcel Marceau as well. He's good at all his French. Sorry, Coach Turner, how are you?
Sorry about that.
Morning.
I'm good. I'm good. Joey, all quiet and down now, as he will.
Seems to be. For the next 10 seconds, I'm bribing him with ducky treats. He's going to die from obesity, the poor thing.
Oh, you'll have to tear up a big pile of stick at the end of the show. Right. Sorry if you're having your break.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry if you're like an animal activist.
We've had, yeah,
We're talking about like,
Leitão,
using
Chanfana.
and using cable ties on our dog.
We will not be doing
And
that.
like
I thought it was bricks, but you had to keep your thumbs out the way.
oh, that sounds
That's so
painful.
70s. So
Yeah.
70s, Coach Turner.
Well, that's where I come from.
That's like wrapping a little bit of dental
where's
floss
she
around
going
your
now?
tooth and yanking
Oh,
it
okay.
out.
Dental floss.
Yeah.
We didn't have that in the 70s. We didn't have teeth in the 70s, did
We
we?
did have dental floss. In the
Pliers, not dental.
Pliers.
You got a plier. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Like that.
that's right. Happy
Has
time.
And hoped you got the right one.
Oh god.
Okay, and when are wooden dentures coming back with its cost of living crisis?
Not long now.
I imagine, do you know, sorry, for hipsters, they can get a really nice hand-honed walnut denture. It's going to be turned into a high-end thing as well, isn't it? I think hand-whittled by a Peruvian craftsman or something like that.
Are they brown? I mean, who wants brown teeth?
Okay, balsa then. You can get different shades.
Who's got the brown teeth? Yeah, thank you.
Well, going from dark grey. There's so much amalgam. Do you know? I can tell what the weather's going to do. I've got so much mercury in my mouth. I go up and down depending on the pressure outside.
That's fantastic. Just ask Phil. Just ask Phil.
Isn't there the apocryphal story about someone who could actually pick up the radio on their tensions?
Again,
because it had so much metal.
Memories of the 70s. We didn't worry, did we, about aluminium pans and mercury and all that sort of cake?
Or lead in our pencils.
Lead, we did worry about that. That was all about that. So Barry
Copper bikes.
Yes. All right. Okay. God Squad tip of the day. Then I've saved this for you to deliver yourself, Coach Turner.
Thank you.
It is my monthly opportunity to thank you for your sterling service as well. Incredible job you do. Every day sharing something with us, and it's no easy thing to do. And so thank you very much for that. Round of applause.
Try. Thank you. Trying to avoid repeating stuff is a challenge.
It's okay. Do you know what?
Brain ticking over.
And the older the Gumpers get here, they just think they're hearing the tips for the first time anyway. So don't worry, it's absolutely fine.
I've forgotten what I've said yesterday.
Yeah, right, exactly. So don't you worry about that. And we've been doing the connection, have we not? And I'm sure we'll talk to Phil about this as well today. You know, the connection between physical and mental performance.
Totally.
I've really enjoyed it this week.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting just trying to distill. Because you read these books that some of my heroes have written, and to try and help understand what you're doing when you're coaching. And the two I mentioned this week, Bud Winter and Steve Peters, both changed the way people coach in so many ways by approaching it from a brain standpoint, a mental standpoint, and trying to get people to actually relax and keep the demons away while they're performing, because they stop you performing. I mean, Steve Peters was with the British cycling team when it sort of blew everybody away in the. Oh, sorry, I'll rephrase that.
That's okay.
When they won so many medals, particularly at the London Olympics, and I think the real story was Victoria Pendleton, who was had a few issues, let's say, and he managed to get through to her to relax her and make her perform at the top of her game. Physically she was very good, of course, but she kept just freezing. And he managed to get her through that. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And then my mate John, who I've known a very long while and coached with for 20 odd years, he just has a knack of just taking people along with him and getting them to make the best of themselves. Not just athletically, because I think of all the kids that we've coached over that time, I think only one of them hasn't gone on to university or college and done a degree and then gone on in her life, because it's been almost exclusively girls that he can't stand coaching boys. They're a pain in the
Why
arse.
is that? So tell us, what's the difference between coaching young men and women then? Are the young lads with all their sort of, growing up as well as becoming athletes? Is it?
I think it's the testosterone you can't take.
Yeah.
They tend to be rather more aggressive, and especially kids from Tottenham and Edmonton and Hackney.
Yeah, tough kids.
Tough kids. If they don't come and do athletics, they're probably out on the street flogging, whatever.
Yeah,
carrying knives. So we kind of are proud in what we've achieved with the girls. But I coach young men. I was doing that last night with Dwayne Chambers, and some of those are quite challenging.
Yes,
but you get them round by just being enthusiastic and positive, and that's to my point today. Taking all that information about being able to relax and challenge your demons. Yes. But I find that just by being positive, when people, just practicing, just doing their repetitions or drills and things, and just encouraging by being positive, because negative just turns them off completely, instantly.
It's so true.
And it was sort of came into my mind while I was thinking about how to finish this week. I was saying, how can we apply that to our daily lives and encourage others? Because you get a real buzz from encouraging others. I'm sure you do that on the show every day, Carl. So can we find a friend or a group of friends that can all be positively encouraging among themselves to hopefully go out and maybe do some walking or just a little activity to keep the worst of the excesses under control.
Absolutely. And I think you were combining it, weren't you, this week, with honesty. And that must be essential to coaching, because you can't be so positive you overlook what's holding somebody back from their excellence. And that would be this is so transferable this morning, isn't it? The two key things I think you've talked about there. One is the mental blockages and how they stop us performing in life, and then the importance of the right balance of objectivity in the coaching to say what structurally needs to change, but doing that in a positive and supportive and honest way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it is getting that balance between honesty and positivity right. But I guess you learn after a while, and I hope I get it right. I'm probably too positive. But when you're dealing with kids that have only ever had criticism, probably.
Well, there you go.
By being completely different and up for it. I mean, there were a couple of lads last night that were pissing about and being a pain in the backside. But after about 5 minutes of working with them and getting them, they're not particularly talented, but they'll improve a lot. And they kind of got it. They go, oh, hang on, if I do this in this way, it works. Wow. And I'm congratulating them because they've achieved something, albeit very small. You see them actually almost grow physically.
How lovely. How fantastic.
And that's the buzz I get from coaching.
I'm sure.
Life affirming almost.
And another axis on that graph or vector then would be persistence, of course, as well as the qualities you've described. You're showing up, aren't you? They're showing up, and something's happening in the process.
Yeah, and there's a trust built up eventually. It takes a long while, but eventually they build up that trust.
Well, good on you, Coach Turner, not only for persisting with us lot here and giving us some tips and in good humour and positivity, but the work you're doing with young people sounds fantastic as well. And that is so lovely and inspiring, isn't it, to hear that kind of transformation? So excellent. Well done, you. Phil, are you hearing parallels in the work you do? Can you give us an update on how it's going? Because we've been watching you shape up the wonderful project that you've been creating with the wonderful Lady K. And it's lovely to see you both in person, in real life, just recently. How's it going with Coowoodoo?
Oh, life here is so good. The house is coming along. Lady K's back in England, and we're doing our course, the This One Thing course, and we've basically got what Coach Turner was just talking about. We've got 6 like-minded individuals going through a process in a small work group with Kimberly and I, and just coming together in a very supportive, very positive environment where we can all go and explore stuff. And it's funny because this week's topic was all about baby steps, taking actions, acting as if, very strong things. And of course, the thing that always stops people from doing stuff, always, is some sort of fear. It comes out of some sort of fear. And the best way of doing it is just find the smallest one step in any direction. It doesn't have to be in what you think is the right direction. Just any direction, and then just keep stepping, right? Yeah. Because the universe, as you know, I'm a great universalist. The universe will take you where you need to be as long as you're moving. Yeah. But if you put a destination in your sat nav and you don't start driving a car, guess where you go? You just go nowhere. So you might as
center of Madrid. By the sound of it.
Apparently with see-through windows, which must have been a bit disconcerting by all accounts.
Oh, I love it, Phil. That sounds wonderful. Are there
Yeah.
any? So it sounds like that particular cohort is complete. Are you running more? Can people work with you?
We will, yes, of course they can, and we will be running more. And it's really, you know, we deliberately keep these as very small work groups because we want that relationship. We want the relationship within the group, and we want that relationship with us rather than a big training, you know. And by small, I don't think our groups will ever be more than 6 participants, 8 participants, nothing more than that. And if we had to run a couple, then we'd run a couple. But generally, we just fill it up and then say, that's it, until the next one. Because you know, for us, it's not about the money. It comes back to what you say, Ian, about, you know, giving and being able to facilitate and be able to help people for just the shortest period of time on a journey. There's nothing better. There's not a better feeling. You know, I am in Portugal largely because of Munson's ramblings in the morning, which I listened to on a podcast as I walked around the suburbs of wet, miserable Leicester. Right? I mean, that was a big thing for me, and so, you know, as I said to him when we met up, I said, so, you know, always great to see you because you're a big part of why I'm here. So, you know, if anybody's bothered by why I'm here, go and speak to Carl.
It's his fault.
Do I need to get a complaint?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't like to give it a blame. You know, I'd just say, go and speak to Carl.
I would love to see a blue. Thank you, Phil. And I'd love to see a blue plaque in Leicester there, or Leicestershire, saying this is where Phil listened to Carl's ramblings during the pandemic. And now look.
Well, there is one close to my mother's house where it says, this is where Phil took on the drug dealers and nitrous oxide sniffers, breathers outside the university without thinking for a moment that actually he's probably going to get his head kicked in. But
did you get your face kicked?
I didn't. No, no. It's funny. It's funny how when you stand when you stand up to people, you just people tend to, you know, think actually I'll go somewhere else.
They're not used to it, are they? Not used to it.
No.
Well done you. Well done you for stepping in there. Great stuff. We have questions.
Kimberly almost divorced me at that point. What were you thinking? Why are you doing this?
Well, you weren't thinking, were you? You were just instinctively responding to a situation.
You don't. You're built a certain way, and when the switch flicks, that's it for me. I'll just have to go and do what I do.
It's funny that, isn't it? I remember seeing a copper struggle to wrestle down a bloke once in the street. And I just ran up to him and said, do you want some help? I was thinking, what can I do afterwards? I was thinking, what can I have done?
Sit on his legs. You could have done something.
Of course. But there are those moments, aren't there, where you just see
you don't think that until afterwards. You don't think that until
you're running down a hard shoulder somewhere, like thinking you're Bruce Willis, and like you don't think about these things. All right, looking good. We've got comments, we've got requests, and many of them. So let's have a look. Thank you for being here, both of you. If there are questions for the science and the it's everything. It's the holistic approach we bring when both Phil and Coach Turner are here on the screen, and we'll have Raquel joining us from Lighthouse Consulting as well. But if you've got any questions, you know what they're about.
I'd like to add something, if I may.
Yeah, go on, please.
One of the themes I've picked up, I've heard from 3 different clients this week who've been talking. And this dovetails into what you're both saying. So, for instance, Coach Turner, when you were talking about, oh crikey, what was it? Look, we need to have really supportive friends around us. And then you're talking, Phil, in terms of like being in a little focus group. I heard from 3 different people from different parts of the world today. For 3 different people, what their experience is, that they have people helping them during the difficult times. But when they start to succeed, there's no one to celebrate and keep them up with the success. It's almost like people don't want to celebrate success as much. They almost want to, I don't know if is it jealousy or what, but it's like, how can we find, you know, in what you were saying, Ian, you know, we need positive people around us. How can we find and foster support that helps you get to that success stage, but also build on it rather than getting knocked down? Because I see there's lots of people that help you get to those steps, but like, how do you sustain that? I don't know if that's a thing that's come up at all for you guys, but
What? So you reach certain levels of excellence, and how to
well, like some people are really happy to. I mean, like on a practical level, lots of people are really happy to listen when you got things to moan about.
Yes.
But then when life's really great, it's like, oh, where are they?
Okay. Yeah.
And so I've heard from 3 people this week who've been very instrumental in helping others, and who've also been helped to increase, their life or their level of well-being. And then when things get, when they get to the top of their game, or when they feel like they've achieved the big goal that they were hoping for, they've almost been knocked down for it, or
understood.
All of a sudden, nobody wants to celebrate with them. So is that maybe it's more speaking about the culture, that we live in a culture that's kind of jealous and slightly sneering towards other people's success rather than sharing in the happiness of it.
Both have got something to say on that. Go on,
I would
Phil.
imagine so, yeah.
I think a lot of that, interestingly, seems to come from Brits in Britain as regards the negativity. If you talk to, for example, I know this is gross generalization, so by its very nature it's incorrect, but talk to an Aussie, they view life differently. Maybe it's the weather, maybe it's the society, but they don't, look at British press. I don't actually, but if you were to look at British press, you would see the constant building up and knocking down, which is Andre's just arrived in his van. Joe's just saying hello. If you look at the British press, they build you up and they knock you down as fast as they possibly can. Right?
Yeah.
Why is this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And this must be a thing for athletes, Coach Tony. You'll have seen this with people. And I think there are personal and societal issues here, aren't there? Distinguishing yourself, I guess, would be one way of putting it. You become the best at something that would separate you naturally, factually, wouldn't it, from other people? And then you find out who your friends are. I guess you find out people who are trying to be friends or pretending to be friends who aren't. The tall poppy syndrome thing, and then in comes your own imposter syndrome possibly as well. So there's a lot going on at the top, isn't there, Coach Turner?
There is, and I do know a few. Well, I think of Dwayne particularly. He had a big fall from being number 3 in the world to having tested for performance enhancing drugs. So his fall from grace was very quick, and even today he has to be very careful on what he puts out on social media, what media interviews he does. There's 2 or 3 people who've wanted to make films about him, but he had no editorial control, so he hasn't done them.
Wow.
And it is an issue when you get to the peak of your capabilities in one particular, whether it's generally or in one particular field. I know another athlete, a sprinter, a girl sprinter, who is Olympic and world medalist, and she's struggling to get back to being as good as she was 2 or 3 years ago, and dealing with the mental challenge that provides her she's struggling. And she's gone from one coach to another, and just, I think I never see her coming back as a top athlete again. And she has no life outside of athletics, so it must be really tough for someone like that.
Yeah, really hard.
So it's a problem, and finding the right people to keep around you, to keep you sane, if nothing else. I think is really critical, and unfortunately she doesn't seem to be able to do that, apart from family. And maybe that's where family comes in, because they love you, whatever.
Good. Yeah, hopefully that's the case. Look at this. This is really interesting, says Louise. Great to see you, Louise. Is that not your experience, Phil?
Well, I think sometimes family love you forever, and sometimes they And sometimes
That's
they don't.
That's true.
Unfortunately. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think finding like-minded people. I mean, I guess that's why we're on here today, because we're kind of all like-minded people.
Yeah.
And the people who are watching, what are we? We're thinking about Portugal. We're thinking about coming to Portugal. We've moved to Portugal. We're the life's great adventurers, right? We want to have adventure. And so we have that commonality of purpose whilst we all sit. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And we're all about selling luxury houses to rich people as well, was one of the reviews we got yesterday.
You're saying that without moving your mouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, it's really impressive. It's like
oh, dear.
Ventriloquism gone wrong.
There's another shot for you. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Okay.
Too many pixels.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me just see.
Oh,
does that?
and he's gone. And
okay.
You look
that
beautiful
doesn't help.
in that.
Do I? Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
you look
Can I
so
just
happy.
oh,
He's gone. So
He's gone.
just to answer the question that's on the screen, there's two books that I've been talking about this week. One of them's by Bud Winter, who is, I guess he's not with us anymore, but that's a pure sprinting book. The other one, which can be applied to life in general, is Steve Peters' book, which is The Chimp Paradox. And it's well worth a read, because he does. Psychologists would poo-poo it because it's relatively simple.
Mhm.
In fact, very simple. But it's fine for the rest of us. So it's typical, specialist criticisms I've seen on reviews. But I found it very
more of
good.
what we're
He's written
talking
a couple
about.
of-
I mean, that's another example, isn't it? Someone writes a great book that's really helpful to people, and then but it's not real psych. It's just a pop psychology. Yeah. That chimp paradox. It's all,
the start of Chimp Paradox. The first few chapters of that are as strong a piece of writing as I have seen as regards why your brain's working in certain ways, because you can understand it. It's a really good piece.
Yeah.
Really
He's
worth
written
a read.
couple more recently. I haven't read them. But
and the name
I
of
would
the
imagine
author
they're
again,
good.
Phil? Sorry,
Steve
Ian?
Peters.
Steve Peters, Dr.
Steve
Steve
Peters.
Peters.
Doctor, no less. Okay.
Oh yeah. He's fully qualified. He's lectured in psychology. He's.
Oh, that doesn't bother me. If it's the truth, it's the truth, right? As Phil was saying, and it makes an impact there. But extra creds for him, obviously, with his background. We got lots of comments, and as I said, some requests for Phil to do evil baddie voices and stuff like that. Let's get
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
And it's funny, instead of having a white cat, you've got like a fluffy white dog to put on your lap.
And though we vow to stay alive, your body starts to quiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
Yes. Oh yes, Rod Temperton. There you were right there. Christ, fantastic. This is going back a bit. This is nearly an hour ago. Thank you, Coca-Cola. Bon dia, sexta-feira. It's sexta-feira. We'll walk around with a smile. This is Deagle's advice, and people will wonder why you're so happy. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I follow Spain Speaks. Well, we'll be on there at some point. Coca-Cola, good to see you here this morning. Humper is just fine, Douglas Hughes, as long as you're next to someone you fancy. I would say
that's quite accurate.
Saying "Hola, bon dia, humper" is quite a high-risk strategy, I think. An explanation of the Aldous Huxley, perhaps those who are silent against depression, and T-Duck's interpretation: you can't incriminate yourself if you keep stum. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Silence.
Although, isn't that?
Well, there's always a
through
saying.
omission.
Yeah, there's always a saying that will counteract and
Okay,
contradict, isn't
true.
there? Every time. But I think you can dwell a little. Something to feel. Oh, it's like
gone
a scene.
black.
It is like a scene from a Bond movie. There's a kickoff in the camper van, I think. Or Joey's pulled the cable over. Oh, he's back. Silence, best remedy for self-incrimination. Thank you for decoding that. When is Wiley back? Request for Wiley. I miss ancient air conditioning and toilets where you can do your washing and expulsion without moving. Beautifully put. All right, look at this. Look at this wonderful contribution.
Some tripe.
I had stuffed lamb stomach. So, yeah, different kind of tripe there. Thank you, Pezes Pete Behaja, James. That's a really nice Central Portugal greeting, Behaja. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Keep going, Mrs. M. This is when you were copying me in a really irritating way, wasn't it, this morning?
Wasn't it this morning?
So don't forget, smash that like button before midnight tonight. I had I had a caldeirada as one of my first ever meals in Portugal. Oh, look at this! It was awful. A total bone fest. Well, some people like that sort of thing. Skag ends, tails, and fin soup. You need to ask the chef to make a good one with filleted fish. I'd like to hear that conversation, wouldn't you? I don't want a bone fest, please. I would, and none of your skag end in there. Filleted fish only for me. Somebody was, I think I heard someone say, is there anything worse? And there's nothing worse than bony fish. And I was reflecting on that. And there are many things, of course, worse than bony fish. But bony fish is
Bony M?
Bony M is worse than bony fish. Well, apart from that,
I quite like.
Yeah, you see.
Contentious, you see. Can't resist it.
Yes.
Just to comment about bony fish.
I thought you were talking about bony.
Of course, when we were in Aveiro last year, I think sometime, we went and had a wonderful lunch, and my better half asked if the fish could be filleted, and the waiter, who was probably older than we were, he'd obviously been around a bit, he said, well, I have never ever had to fillet a fish before.
Really?
But he did, and it was beautiful, but he never. So
well, there are some places where you expect that. The sort of places where the waiter stands like a sentry at the end of the table, waiting for your every command.
We had that, didn't we?
We did have that, didn't we?
On our
in
anniversary.
Odacasa here in San Martino.
It was really odd for me, actually.
Because we were the only people in the restaurant as well.
Well, no, it was just odd having someone serve me and kind of fillet it in front of me and dish. You know, I like to just help myself. Personally.
All right. It's hard. It's 1 minute past. Let's not keep her waiting. Let's bring Raquel onto the screen. It's a party, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Raquel.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Getting down.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Very
Are
good.
you on the school run?
I'm on a different studio today.
Wow, very nice too. Are you driving a truck, a car? What are you doing up to? What are you up to today this morning? School run?
Oh, it's my Ferrari. What do you mean?
I do beg your pardon. How awful of me. The lady who she doesn't even know what bones in fish are. There she is, Raquel from Lighthouse Consulting. For those who don't know you, Raquel, and before we get back to the comments, because there are some fabulous comments this morning, tell us a little bit about yourself, because you're relatively new to the Good Morning Portugal community. Tell us about Lighthouse Consulting.
Well, Lighthouse Consulting is a consultancy company for expats. So basically, with my legal background, I can help. I've been focusing more on creating businesses, business brokerage, off-market properties, so real estate a little bit as well, and contract reviewing. So that's what I've been doing so far. This all started because one of my daughters is in an international school, so I have some expat friends. And so I was really tired of my corporate life world. And after the third daughter, I was like, no, I do not want this anymore. So I just want a different life. I don't want the 9 to 5. I don't want, the 3-hour commute every day. And so I did the insane move of after, with my third baby daughter in my arms, to just say, I quit. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And I'm going to find my own thing to do. And so this was it. Actually, my friends were the ones that told me, you could do this. You could do consultancy for expats because you speak English. There's no issue with that. And you have a legal background and you've been for 20 years in the banking industry. So, of course, you have a lot of knowledge. And so so here I am. And it's been working so far. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying the kind of impact that I can have in people's lives. This was something that I did miss in the corporate world. You're too far detached from people and you don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you're like, what did I contribute to the world? Nothing. And so now I can really see the difference that I can make, and that's been huge for me, for my feeling of being fulfilled in what I do, and so here I am, and I'm loving it. And thank you, Carl and Rita, of course, for having me on the show, which I really thank you.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and as well as that wonderful backstory there, you are a ray of sunshine in our midst here. You really are, and you're so positive and helpful to people wanting to start businesses. So and I think another exciting part of what you do is you help expats find businesses that they might want to invest in.
That's
here as well. I think that's a lovely and exciting project, isn't it, for the incomers, having you as a sort of navigator, Sherpa in the business environment. So thank you for being here. Please join in with the conversation. Pick anything up that you like the sound of here. Probably not this one, Conchita is cat food in Lidl. Conchita the Portuguesa. Don't eat that, folks. And we've had an invitation here. I'm going to extend it to everybody here this morning on the screen. If you, I'll cook you a curried goat, Luisa and Carlitos, of course, morning all. Well, there you go. I love the sound of that.
I had curried goat for the first time a couple of weeks ago at my mate Dwayne's birthday party.
Enjoy it?
It was absolutely lovely.
Fantastic.
Lots of bones though.
Okay, all right. So that particular cut will have a few bones in it. I think we're talking about tripe again. You can eat it raw tripe. I think we're talking about fish, aren't we? Surely you don't eat raw tripe, pickled or cooked. Come back to us on that, Tabitha. Mimicking is a copy of Carl mimicking Carl every Monday as I log on to StreamYard while streaming the show to YouTube. A 5-second delay. And no one should have to put up with that. Shamfana. Bairandi is here, the goat. More than the veal version, so it's probably a style of cooking. Is that right, Raquel? Rather than the cut of meat, the Shamfana, favorite Portuguese.
I have no idea. Not the best person to talk about anything like that, especially those traditional dishes. I don't really know a lot. I mean, I'm fish, seafood all the way, and salads and stuff. So sorry, and bread.
No problem. You can't go wrong with seafood, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
What's this? Someone who ate dog as well in stew, possibly. Thanks. We knew Pete might have a story like that, eating funny stuff.
I think there's a few curry houses in Leicester where you could probably get curried dog, but I wouldn't direct you to.
We had an all-you-can-eat restaurant in Kent, in Medway, and I went there one evening with my parents. Had a really nice meal, and then a week later it was closed because they found half an Alsatian in the cold storage.
Let's move on. Morning all. Been a while.
I think a lot of people have probably eaten dog accidentally in some of these places.
Well, that's really upset quite a lot of people this morning. Thanks, Mrs. M. Morning all. Been a while. Popped on. We'll get back into my routine one day, maybe. Don't do that, Fiona.
It's nice to see you, Fiona.
Break the chains of normality, where you can totally accept that you come in as and when you wish.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it suits you.
Bon dia, Sarah Taylor. Carl, say something with a lot of rolling R's in that voice. My Portuguese. Okay, maybe I will, but I'm going to defer to the request for Phil's
hang on. I think you should write in a sentence with lots of R's for Carl to say.
I don't think you should encourage people, Mrs. M. My dad makes it back in the UK, and all their friends love it. Got to make it 2 days before and soak it in aguardente and jalapeño. Is that the Shamfana again? We're talking about that. And Sarah thinks, okay, maybe we need to start an agency, you and me, Phil, getting hired with these voices. Breakfast time. This is not a joke. I had my eyes tested, and my eyesight has improved since being in Portugal. Pity the rest of me doesn't follow. That's interesting. Do you think it's because of the light, possibly? Mrs. M, you've probably got a view on that. How could someone's eyesight improve? Or they like what they see. There might be a metaphysical reference.
My eyesight's worse since I've been here, but that's because I'm sat in front of a computer more. Yeah. But I think my experience of driving around and about in Portugal is that we see further. Like our vistas are much grander and more alluring. And I think when you have to see further, your eyes are continuously, moving more. Like when we're driving in town in like our sort of like British places and whatnot, everything's so much closer. So I think we're practicing more depth of field.
Oh, exercising the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I only think that because I've watched a few videos about how I can improve my eyesight. And so I really want us to have an office with rolling hills behind it so I can be focused on my computer, look up out the window, back
Oh,
at my
sounds good. We have had those offices.
Yeah, we
haven't
have.
Yeah.
I need more than.
All right, see what I can do.
Yeah.
Just
Ben.
a word of warning about Portugal, because you have very bright sunshine. Always protect your eyes, because
Okay.
it will.
I got a hat for that. I don't like the sunnies too much, but I've got I'm always in the shade when I've got my hat on, which
No,
I
that
love.
works.
Yeah, absolutely. Pet Petu was doing a John Lennon. What's that, Chris? Good morning to you. And I think he would have loved your Vincent Price Thriller impersonation there, Phil. But explain yourself, Chris. Talking of John Lennon, talking of great music, I am talking to the wonderful Ron Rogers at 10, and we're playing 3 tracks from that album as well as we switch over to Iberian FM. Bon dia, lovely to be able to catch you. Louise is here, which is great. It's lovely to see you. And these, I don't know if you can help us with this as well, Raquel. The Matavelis or Papa Reformas, Carl, are what we call those small cars, and are quite expensive for what they offer. Do you see many of those buzzing around Cascais, Raquel?
No, it's harder to find a Fiat in Cascais than to find a Ferrari in Cascais.
That's how they roll over there, certainly at the moment. And this is for Louise. Hope you're basking in the beautiful views.
Funnily enough, it's actually perfect for me as well.
What's that? Cascais?
No. Hope you're basking in beautiful views. That's what I want.
It is. It is a multi. We love it when the comment can be addressed at several people. Big Tony, every car in Portugal is overpriced. Even if you think you have a bargain like Andy and his Rover, wait for the road tax heart attack. Thanks, Pete. And we were peaking apparently this morning. We were talking about vasectomies, I think, and well, whatever it was we were talking about. And Dougie was crying with laughter. Look, I'm not reading that out. Good morning from Shuao F. Oh my God, I'm going to be so careful about what I read out this morning. Victoria Benson, hello, dear kids from sunny Portimao.
Victoria!
Yes, hello, Victoria. Early God Squad member there. Yes, cars are quite expensive. Papa Reforma have 2 seats. You can reach 45 kms, and they can't be used on the highways, and they can cost more than 15 grand.
What?
They must have their benefits. Right, always love Phil's Dr. Evil voice. What a perfect villain oratory there. Thank you very much. And good luck to Lady K's daughter in the marathon, Phil. If you could pass that on as well, that's fantastic. Apparently, folks, if you want to speak French, Steve Martin used to say, thanks, James, for this, put a rubber band around your lips. Should we all try that? Yeah, guess that. And can you now move from that, Phil, into singing? Could you maybe give us a round of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot as though you're at the rugby? And let's see if this shows up on those
with actions, Phil.
No actions. Swing low, sweet chariot.
Oh my word.
Coming for to carry me home. I wake up every morning, start singing Zippity Doo-Dah. It just makes me feel happy.
Well, we want a recording of that. There are seismic.
Zippity Doo-Dah, zippity. Sorry.
No, there are seismometers, if that's what they're called, that are registering that at the moment.
There's rocks that have just fallen off Monsanto.
Babies have gone to sleep. Estrogen has been released. You've caused all sorts of phenomena with that. Well done, Phil. Mark is here as well. And Garvo, the great Garvo. Just checking in before I head out to the field to find a new crop of stones. Good ground then. Veggie's growing well now and already had a lot of lettuce and a few cheeky strawberries. Lovely. Fantastic. Wow. Amelie, it's been a very long time. Bon dia, Algria. Can't stay heading out of town, but wanted to say hello. And to Carl, last night was great. Thank you. I love that kind of review. I haven't had a text like that for ages. Thank you very much for that. Allergy warning, very high levels of pollen.
Yes, they really are at the moment.
Oh, is that right? Okay. So be careful. Itchy eyes, as well as improved or damaged eyes from the sunshine. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, going back to the coaching comments, try coaching young men boxing. And I think, actually...
We've got a friend that does that.
We do, the great Chris Rattenbury. He coached me as well. He turned me around. Actually, they quickly learn to control themselves. It is amazing what happens in boxing clubs, isn't it? Yeah. Incredible stuff. Raquel, we'd love to talk to you about this upcoming plan that we've got. So we've been talking to Steve. Oh, you're off on your way for a coffee?
I'm afraid I have to go.
All right, mate.
Lots on today. So lovely to see you all. Have a
And you.
great weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
We love you, Coach Turner. We love you.
Bye for now.
Ciao,
There he
ciao.
goes. Hey, ciao, ciao for now. There he goes. That's bon fin semana, boy Shakespeare, to you. Okay, Raquel, we were hatching a plan, weren't we, with Steve White, the incredible guy who advises people. When people get a bit nervous about investing and this funny financial world that we find ourselves in, or the times that we find ourselves in, he's saying, oh, there's still loads of great investment opportunities, and there are great investment opportunities in Portugal. We will be doing a webinar, not next Tuesday, because that's our celebration of the Carnation Revolution. And I think we're going to be talking to two generations on that evening, and an ex-soldier who was around at the time of the Carnation Revolution.
Wow, where'd you find him?
We've got that shaping up for a fantastic evening of history. The whole sort of context of the Carnation Revolution. Looking forward to that. And then the Tuesday after, which I believe is the 2nd of May, Raquel and Steve will be joining us. And I hope you can make that date, Raquel, talking about setting up a business, investing in Portugal. Are you excited about that?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry to hear.
Of course I am. I mean, it's always an opportunity to talk about these things. I mean, it's great. I can only thank you, you guys for the opportunity. I think it's a great issue. I think it contributes to the literacy, financial literacy, which is very, very important. And just to talk about these things and to make people think about these things is very important. A lot of people just go about their lives and have a problem with talking about money, and we shouldn't, because money is a part of having to live in a society, and we should make the most of it, and we should learn how to manage it. So it's very important.
Fantastic. So looking forward to that 2nd of May. So it looks like we've had an athletics coach, a coach for the body, a coach for the mind, who is Phil. And we've got our astrological coach here, of course, Mrs. M. And you, the financial coach, financial literacy. Great. I hadn't seen it from that angle. So thank you, Raquel, for being our money coach, basically. Go on, Phil.
Well, on financials, I have a financial visualization, because I was like a lot of people, you grow up thinking that, there's never enough money, or money's the root of all evil, or there's so many phrases around money which are like self-negative. And I have this visualization where I just shut my eyes and some few breaths, and I visualize the widest part of the Mississippi River, which is many miles wide. And I imagine that is the flow of wealth in the world. So I imagine all this wealth flowing down the Mississippi River, and just to one side is this tiny little inlet. It's just ever so small. And there's abundance of wealth, and it just flows from the Mississippi River into the inlet, which is called Phil. And ever since I've been doing that, abundance, not in any huge Ferrari style way, but to have enough to go and do the things that I want in life, has come towards me. So I can heartily recommend that. Just spend 3 or 4 minutes imagining that coming towards you, and see what happens in the next few weeks after you do that. Be interesting to see if anybody actually tries that out.
And there are inlets for everybody,
excuse me,
aren't
I've
there?
got to
Mrs. M's got to deal with a situation, I think.
Yeah.
And there are enough inlets for everybody, I think, aren't there, along that Mississippi River there?
Masses. Truly. I mean, financially, the world has enough wealth, if only we decided that we would take it, deliver it to everybody. But unfortunately, the thing that gets in the way is a human being. So there will always be some who have a lot and some who have a little, I'm afraid.
And on a personal level, if you imagine yourself in that visualization and you have an awkwardness, that again is the yes, please, I'd love a coffee. That again is the human element coming in, isn't it? The spoiler, if you like. If you have any sort of difficulty in imagining yourself being washed over with abundance and cash, there's a little bit of a pointer perhaps to some a coaching insight or some blockage that could be released. Shout out for you, Phil, and this one thing from Mindful Van Life. How good is that this morning? The work you're doing. Feedback with love is always positive. There's a lovely coaching theme this morning, which is wonderful. And she wasn't here to see the comment, but Louise saying that Louisa was so right about something earlier on. I'll pass that on. I think there might be a perception that one's encouraging others are all stoked up on encouragement. Thank you very much. And if one measures one's values from results-oriented actions, they can feel empty regardless of the level of success. Love, joy, and peace are founded on internal development and dependent on others' views. Well, we do see that, don't we? For some people, the accumulation of things and stuff is never enough. And perhaps it is the love, joy, and peace they're looking for within. I don't know if you would care to comment on that.
The most liberating thing that we did was clear that when we decided to go on camper van life was clearing the house of everything we owned and giving it out to charity and getting rid of all the possessions. It's the most unbelievably cathartic experience. Yeah. All of a sudden, you haven't got all this stuff. You know, I followed the 40-year plan, the one that says you're going to go to work, you're going to work your way up, you're going to get a good job, you're going to have a good pension, you're going to do all of those things. And I know Raquel followed it as well until she had the third child. For me, I just decided that it wasn't going to work. It just fails on so many levels. And you know, when you follow that and then you suddenly realize it doesn't work, you find lots of other ways to achieve, and there are so many out there that you don't have to do things you don't like. It's the truth, but it's the truth that we're not told.
It's such a realization, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
What? Really? Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, from what you were saying about sort of putting the corporate life behind you as well, Raquel, you may agree with that there are, you know, it's important, of course, as you said, it's literally the currency of society, isn't it? To have wealth and money, but there are other factors that satisfy and fulfill human beings as well. Watch the film. Coach Carter says, Jan, hello, Jan. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so others around us won't feel small. Well, isn't that a great insight? Louise,
that's a classic quote, that one.
Good movie as well, eh?
Yeah.
Thanks. I have that one in my Audible library. So she's got the Steve Peters book and is going to go and listen to it. I suppose a thought of becoming singularly focused and really good at one thing is that nothing lasts forever. Yeah, that's also interesting, certainly for athletes, isn't it? When it goes, then what? And a person can become lost. Excellent. Thank you for that, Joelle Denort. Teachers come in all forms, plants, animals, children, homeless people on the street, and on and on and on. I love it. Thanks, James. I love it when others succeed. Makes me feel great as well. Well done, everyone. How beautiful. Aviva, Ocean Dweller, bon fin semana todos. Thank you very much for that. They have spines. I wonder what we're talking about there. Fish. Possibly.
Must be fish.
Must be fish, mustn't it? Bon dia, Raquel, from Francis over there in South Africa this morning. And Carl, just say, Rato Rui. Rolje de Rafa, de Rum, de Rey, de Russia. I gave it a go. Raquel, how should we have said that? When you stop laughing.
In your deepest voice, Raquel, please.
Yeah, if you could do it in Antonio Banderas.
O rato roeu a rolha da garrafa de rum do rei da Rússia.
Phil,
I dare any of you to say that.
Dare you?
I often sound like that. I often sound like that when I've had a long night on the wine. Do you know what I mean? That tends to be the start of my day, coughing that sort of thing up, really.
And you wake up with a rubber band around your lips and you think,
what happened last night?
funny how we distinguish we should can eat and which not. Pigs, yes. Dogs, no. Yes, it is true. It's so true. Can't argue with that. Smash that like button, says T-Duck. Yes, please do like the smash button. Smash the like button. Eyesight is very much affected by tension, so it may be that Tabitha is more relaxed. I think that's true. I find that. If you try to look at things, it gets harder, doesn't it? If you relax, sometimes it helps. If you're struggling to focus, I doubt pigs ever made it too far being man's best friend, thus making the menu. Yep, that's an interesting insight. And yet, cats and dogs are quite popular food in the Philippines and other parts of Asia. Yep, exactly. James's point there. Carl and Louisa, last night was great. What was that? I think we were on screen most of the evening between us, but thank you for that. We'll take that. 5 out of 6 people agree that Russian roulette is safe. Snuck in a dad joke there. Very good. When I lived in China in 1987, I commented on the cute black puppies for sale at the local street market. They are not for pets, he was told. My goodness, what an all-round conversation we're having this morning. Some of it quite alarming. Hope everyone has a fun weekend. Bon fin semana. Ciao, bello. That's a good moment to have a look at a few events with our guests here Raquel and Phil. But I don't want to stop you talking about anything you wish to bring this morning. Raquel, was there anything you wanted especially to mention this morning? We've talked about our upcoming investment and business startup session, 2nd of May. Was there anything else? Any other insight you wanted to share with us this morning?
Well, just to remind everybody that I have my online courses on my website, and they're very good for anyone that's just wants to know the ropes, basically just want to know what the rules are. Even if you don't have any decision made yet, it's good just to, have the grounds on your mind to know if you can move on or not. So I have one for how to set up housing in Portugal, like how can I buy a house, how can I rent a house, how can I remodel a house, and another on how to create your own business. So those are my 2 basic courses. There's also a Portugal map for free there that I invite all of you to download, with my favorite things of Portugal, like where to eat, what to buy, where to go, what to go see. So I invite everybody to just go online on my website and check those online courses out. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for
what a lovely gift. The map, the beginner's guide to Portugal, almost, isn't it?
Did you check it out? Did you check it out, Carl?
I did have a little bit of a look, and I was thinking, how can I give this out to the community here? And you just did that, so thank you very much for doing that. It's a freebie to download then at lighthouseconsulting.pt, and the details of your other courses. How wonderful. Nice show today, says Joel F, as always. Ciao, everyone. So people are going about their business and moving into the day, as we will all be doing soon. But I'll be talking to Ron Rogers in the next hour. Look at a couple of events, and we'll do those dad jokes this morning before Raquel and Phil go. There's no shortage of money in the world, just disproportionate distribution. We know this. It's work in progress, isn't it, for us human beings to get that sorted out. Okay, a few events then. What do you think of these, Phil and Raquel? We've got a Busako museum. Fantastic. The military museum. That's a great place to go. That will be happening this weekend up there in the Bairrada region. A bike run show lunch party in Presa in Mira. That's it. Well done. Mira. A lot of these are Bairrada focused. Look, a soup festival in Vargas there. Oh, what's she doing now? Is she blessing the events? €5. So look at that. And you're always going to get some grub, aren't you? There we go. Oh, what? No, other way. Look, will this help? Do what you were doing and let me put you there. Raquel, come on. No. Yes. Okay. Free meal walk. Phil's going to try it in a minute. It is time. It's springtime, I suppose, is when people... No, Phil, other way. Oh, my goodness, you two.
We're on Mirror. You know why? We're on Mirror. That's why.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not the only one confused.
You're not. That's a lot of people confused now. Look at this. I go up to the Mata de Busako there in Luso, an ecological trip around. These are wonderful. You can add your own events to the Gumper map over at goodmorningportugal.com. An evening of Fado in Anadia with Cordish coming up. Ride and lunch in Aguas Bosch in Oliveira de Bairro as well. Always lunch included, the ride and the lunch, €12 for that one. If it's in Portugal and it's event, you will get fed. If you don't take a packed lunch. Festa de arepa y empanada. Look at this. I know what empanadas are, but what are arepas, Raquel? What would they be? Flan,
they're like a little pastry, pastel, little pastry thing.
Okay, so your empanadas and your arepas there on the 25th of April. Fantastic. Next week. Aveiro's biggest and best fair, the Expo at Feira de Março. A lot of people call theirs the biggest fair, don't they, around Portugal? There's one of them. Party in Mamarosa as well. Banda Magnética at that Portuguese. If you like a bit of Pimba, get along there. And I'm loving the actions. Thank you, Raquel and Phil, for illustrating these with us today. Catapult? What? Sling shooting? That sounds like a Top Gear kind of event, doesn't it? So there you go. For just €2. There's no food there. You can commemorate or celebrate in the bar after or before or during even. Jokes aside, they're a lovely bunch of Adama and are keen to explain and help you with the fun parts of this super fun activity. So if you don't know your beaver tail and then it stops, go find out more about beaver tails there. Wonderful stuff. Couple of dad jokes for you before you go. Let's send you on your way. Those of you leaving for the Good Morning Portugal show, stick around though. We're going to play some great music. My superhero name is Typo Man. I am the writer of wrongs. Very good. Yes, I've got it, Phil. The guy who stole my diary just died. My thoughts are with his family. Come on, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just got my doctor's test result. I'm really upset. Turns out I'm not going to be a doctor. Very good. 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for being here, Phil. Thank you so much for being here, Raquel. Raquel, we'll see you on the 2nd of May for the business and investment webinar, seminar, show, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be great with Raquel and Steve. Phil, have a lovely weekend. Bon fin de semana. Have a wonderful time in Central this weekend.
Carl, it's been an absolute honor, as always. I would recommend to everybody, just get out. If there's not an event near you, just get out. Just go somewhere. Just get on a bus or go in your car or go for a long walk. I promise you, this country, as I always say, is the hidden country. But if you bother to take a few steps, you're just going to uncover stuff you've never seen before. And you're just going to feel good about it. It's a fantastic place to be.
Well said, that man. And a delightful note to end on. So get out in this beautiful Portuguese springtime. You can hear the birds already coming through from Pete's camper van. Take care. Bye for now, you two. Thank you so much. Bon fin de semana. Okay, folks, stick around for some great music. Okay, we're it's not really a review. Actually, it's a great honor because we're going to actually be joined by the creator of Portuguese Cowboys, the new album. You've heard the title track before, and you're going to hear it again. And I'm going to kick off with that. I'm going to just breathe and take in Portuguese Cowboys by way of starting the Iberian FM phone in today and treat you again to the wonderful video that's been made for this track. And we'll play 2 more tracks from the album. You can get your copy at Bandcamp, where Ron Rogers is selling his album. 8 tracks, 8 fantastic tracks of Ron Rogers music. He's getting ready in the green room now. Sorry, I'm sure you've been in much better green rooms than this one, Ron Rogers. But we're looking forward to talking to you. There's the Bandcamp link for buying Ron's album, Portuguese Cowboys. And we're going to start with the title track because it has a wonderful video to go with it. And then we'll be having a chat and playing 2 more tracks from said album. I'm really looking forward to this morning on Iberian FM. Stick with us. Enjoy this wonderful track and the video that goes with it. We'll be right back after this.
Everything was slowing down. I was stuck in the machine. Everything was spinning round. All you Portuguese cowboys, you can find me underground. I turned my amplifier all the way on 10, and you'll never hear a sound.
Right, I think it's absolutely right that you see the credits there, because what a fantastic video! So many talented people involved in that, yeah, the star of that show, the star of this show today, is Ron Rogers. So let's give him a nice big round of applause. He's here with us now. Hey, Ron, how are you? Lovely to meet you. Oh, I've frozen up there, but I think you can still hear me. So how are you today?
Oh, I'm pretty good. It's kind of early.
Of course it is. I'm so sorry to put you through this. You're so rock and roll, mate. So yeah, here we are, just after 10 o'clock. I'm gonna put you on the spot now and ask you a few questions, despite it being a little bit early, as you say. You are in Porto today, are you?
I am. Porto.
So how long you been rocking, where you been rocking, and how did you get to be in Porto? Let's start with the first one. I mean, I think you've had an amazing musical career. I was reading about it. This is your 5th album, isn't it, that you've created here?
Yeah, well, I think there's probably more like 6 or 7, but there's a couple of them that haven't been released. So yeah, I made a few recordings.
Safe to say. Fantastic. Where did it all begin? Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. And so I just in high school, you know, I got the music bug and started playing the guitar and lived in Texas until 1989. My wife and I, Deborah, we left Austin and moved to LA for 15 years. And then I moved to Portland, but I was recording the whole time. I was doing all that. I've always had a home studio starting in about 1980. I'm kind of hooked on recording. I just love recording. I like it better than playing live, although I've played live a lot. I don't know. It's just an addiction, Carl. You can't stop.
So, well, I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Once you get the music bug, and I think all my fellow musicians and songwriters and artists out there will, I'm sure, agree with me that once you get bit by the bug, there's no turning back, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry if this is a bit disconcerting. I'm just gonna refresh myself very quickly. Stay exactly where you are. Ocean Dweller Aviva just as a comment for us, and there's a few that have come in already. Knew you were from Texas. I think that was probably from the singing before you even started to speak. I'm going to refresh my screen right now. I'll be right back, and so that you can actually see my lips moving.
Okay.
Well, that felt like it took a painfully long time to do. So sorry to leave you hanging on the screen there, but at least we got some lip sync.
Oh, that's quite all right.
All right. So we had some lovely comments while we played your video there, which is a superb video, and of course showcases Porto. Love this song, so haunting. Great song, nice riff at the end there. T Duck describes himself as an honorary Texan, lived there for 7 years. So
Thunder Duck, that's a name.
It sure is. He's a regular here, and so much of this wouldn't be possible without him. He loves the hill country, he says.
Yeah, sure.
You know that?
Wimberley.
Yeah, okay. So some fellow Texans here on the screen. So how did you get to be in Portugal then, Ron?
Well, you know, Deborah and I have this thing about every 15 years we pick up and move somewhere. We lived in Austin 15 years. We lived in LA 15 years, and we lived in Portland 16 years. So moving in on about year 15 in Portland, we were like, well, what are we going to do next? We need to go do something else. And we joined a group called Portland to Portugal in Portland. It was started by a friend of ours, Mary Martins. And we came over for a visit. We came over for a month in 2019. And we just really liked Portugal, really liked Porto. wanted to be able to travel more in Europe. And this is such a good place to base yourself. And, you know, just looking for something else, Carl. I don't know what it is. But, you know,
it kind of matches your creativity as a songwriter, I think. So a bit of a like a lifelong quest, and maybe even an addiction for new experiences. You say, you know, like writing is an addiction for you, and maybe gathering new experiences.
Could be. What brought you to Portugal?
I'm from the UK and I was actually wanting to get away from the UK. And a lot of UK people moved to France or Spain, and then someone suggested to me I might take a look at Portugal as well, and the rest is history. So I'm delighted to be here. And as soon as I got here, I thought I would start a podcast, and it's turned into this. And clearly, as soon as you got here with your instruments, you put yourself in the studio. I mean, how long have you actually been in Portugal?
3 years.
Right, and so presumably you got connected with or brought over your friends who are musicians, and you got into the studio pretty quickly.
Well, so you know, with COVID and the lockdown, getting together and playing with people was kind of hard to do, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So you know, with the internet and all, I can sit in my studio here and lay down a guitar track and a vocal. And on the Portuguese Cowboys, I have a friend in LA, Don Fisher, that I played with for years, and he's also a Texan. So I sent him the track of me singing and playing the guitar, and he put the drums on it in his studio over there. Then he just sends the files back to me, and I put it together here. Then I sent it to a guy, Emery Wilson, that I played with in Portland, and he put the bass on it.
Wonderful.
And then I played the keyboards and the guitar, and Deborah sang on it with me, and that's how we did it.
That's amazing. Because I'm reading the sleeve notes, it says that 3 of the tracks are made in the States and 5 are made here, but they're kind of made. They're hybrids, and they're made in both places, presumably. Then, or are you referring to the kind of mastering and finishing process?
I recorded 3 of the songs while I was still in the States. Yes, but they were not finished. And so I just kind of had them in the can, you know, and then finished them out here by adding some guitars and keyboards and whatever. Amazing. So 3 of the songs were cut in the States, and I had never released them on an album. So anyway, I wanted to get them out there. I thought they were good songs, and so I just finished them up. And then the others I cut here. Yeah, they were all conceived and recorded. The basics were cut here in Porto, and I had one guy in Nashville play drums, and I had a guy in Houston play tablas and flute. I had people in Portland and LA. An old friend of mine, Fred Bova, played steel guitar and bass on a song, and he's in Connecticut.
Incredible.
So I sent it to him.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so it's from all over the place.
Yeah, and another friend of ours, Michael Bliss. I see he's on key and singing on the album as well. So you got to meet Michael Porto. Yeah,
Michael. We met he and Cheryl here and their daughter, Eliana. Yeah, Michael is an amazing keyboard, amazing singer. Michael's got an amazing voice. He contributed to two of the songs, I think. I think he's on 2. But yeah, Michael's great. Jeez, I'm so happy that we met him.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man. Give him Cheryl, our love when you see him next in Porto. Is there a bit of a scene developing in Porto then, would you say?
Oh, I am having a hard time finding a scene.
Oh, okay. Right.
There seems to be clubs and musicians who play, copy songs. They play songs from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, but there's not much of a scene for original music.
Okay. All right.
So we have been looking for a place to play, and I have met some. I did cut some songs with a Portuguese drummer and a Portuguese bass player. That the drummer has a drum school right up the street from me, and I went up there and we cut some live tracks there, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they're very, very good musicians. They're excellent and good people too. So who knows? I don't know. You will be one of the first to know if I
absolutely. Please let us know, Ron, if that happens. But I take your point there. There are a lot of covers bands, and that's a very rich and interesting scene here in Portugal. There's a great love of music from around the world, from the States and of course from the UK. And you get bands in all over the place in Portugal playing those tracks and loving them, and highly competent musicians. But interesting that you should say that. I want to put you in touch with the guy at the gin distillery, because I'm thinking that might be quite a nice. Or is he a rum or it's a rum distillery in Porto, isn't it? And I know he makes gin as well. And he's built the most beautiful place there. It could be a good live music venue and the start of that scene we're talking about as well.
That'd be cool.
Squire of the Shires. Yeah, rum and gin sounds all right, doesn't it, to go with the music? My dad is a player and strummer too, Ron. And the Alentejo, Thunderduck says, reminds me a lot of Central Texas. Ron, do you ever dabble in bluegrass? Well, hold that question if you don't mind, because I want to play another track. We're already 20 minutes in, and I was going to play 3 tracks from your album, and it's been a tough job, Ron, picking which ones. They're all crackers, the 8 tracks that you've got on the Portuguese Cowboys album. We love the title track, and we've been playing it for a few months now. And it was a real struggle to pick 3. Portuguese Cowboys is obviously shoo-in to be played on the show. And I've got 2 others. I was saying before you came on and earlier on in the show that my personal, or what I thought was a problem for musicians was being likened to other musicians. So I won't do that to you today. And being reduced to a one-line soundbite for an album review. But I've done mine anyway. Mine, if I may share it with you, is Portuguese Cowboys glows with strong, skillful, and seasoned musicianship. The melodies are from the get-go catchy and delightfully engaging, with Ron's lyrics both intriguing and poignant. A journey, a treat, and of rare quality. And that's why we love what you do so much, and that's why we want to play a track now, if we may. What I've gone with, Ron, is for my second track is Sink or Float. So I'm going to play that now, and I'm going to scroll around on your website so people can find out a bit more about you while we're listening to Sink or Float, and we'll be right back after that, if that's all right with you, Ron.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's do that.
Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Yeah. So that song is called Sink or Float.
Oh, sorry. Go on. You want to talk over it? Go ahead.
I just said that it's called Sink or Float.
All righty. Can you hear the track? We're playing your track now.
I can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. I've heard it.
Well, you know what? Nor can anyone else. That is a disaster. No sound. We can't hear it here. That is. I can hear it loud and clear coming through my desk. So I'm not at all happy about that. But that is the track. If you could tell us a bit about that, I can only recommend it at the moment until I found out a way of playing it, which I think I can.
Sink or Float.
Sink or Float.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's another one of my running commentaries on what a mess everything seems to be.
Right.
Okay. I wish I could say that I was optimistic about everything that's going on in the world. So Sink or Float. I don't know. That was a fun song to write because I was kind of talking about negative things, but I was trying to say it in a kind of a funny kind of way, I guess. I don't know.
Which is, I think, what you
It's
do.
hard to analyze stuff that you write. I don't. It's hard for me to explain or talk about how I write songs. They just kind of pop out.
No, I understand that. Yeah, and they speak for themselves, don't they? So let me try again. I found a different way, I think, of playing the track Sink or Float. Let's see if it works. Tell us, T-Duck, if you can hear this.
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, much better. Okay, we'll shut our mics.
Gonna see what sinks and floats. We get out of those leaky boats. On these times with you and Eddie. Shoved off in a ship of hope. Came home in a fog of dope. Now we can hear what the blind man sees. Lessons learned but never shared. Black souls in pain but never bend. Tell the children to use their words. They flit around like dirty birds. The new troubadour can't play no. The Lone Ranger's got his mask. You know I didn't have to ask. Tonto's got him by the throat. You know, if the truth be told, Kemosabe means asshole. The Hellcasters only play black keys while jamming out with the deportees. Have the teen levels of present foes. Take your cover, leave you exposed. All the best chaperones are dead. We were jamming with the Pilgrim's Pride. The Chinese got chicken fried. The shade at midnight came unplugged. Showing weakness to the overlords. Get you baptized and suspended course.
I'm so glad we found a way to play that, because that would have been awful to promise everybody 3 tracks. We heard the video, of course, of Portuguese Cowboys, and there you hear Sink or Flow. I can't not ask you about this. You say you're not very positive about the world. What do you mean, Ron? Do you not find life a little bit more positive here in Portugal, in Porto? Are you talking more about the global scene?
Oh, I guess I'm talking about the global scene. I probably shouldn't keep up with news from the United States. That's probably what's wrong.
You and others, I'm sure.
Because everybody, half the people over there have lost it, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, Carl.
I'm
sorry I even said that about being negative. I know that makes me seem like an old curmudgeon.
Well, there's a place for that, isn't there? And I think if what happens is your curmudgeonliness is turned into the beautiful creativity that we just heard, there can't be anything wrong with that. And I agree I'm much the same. I like to limit my exposure to where I've come from in the UK, and I have a very similar feeling about it. So yes, glad to be then, by the sound of it, here in Porto, which is where our guest today, Ron Rogers, is based, and over here from a background in Texas and Portland, Oregon as well. Go on, carry on, Ron.
Well, I was going to say that I'm very happy here. Deborah and I find it really easy to live here. The Portuguese people are extremely friendly and have been very helpful. We have great neighbors. Love the weather here. The weather here reminds me of Los Angeles, Portland, kind of the West Coast kind of, ocean thing, and it's real comfortable to live here. I suspect I will be here a long time.
Oh, so glad to hear that. So glad to, and I want you to be like part of this Porto scene that we were sort of, I don't know, mourning the lack of at the moment. But I want you and Michael Bliss and others to be part of that and to visit.
Michael Bliss and I have been talking a lot lately about trying to start some kind of original music scene here. And we found a couple places that we think we might could do it. And also the drummer, Ricardo Benito, who has his drum school up the street. I was actually over there talking to him yesterday, and he brought up about us playing. So, it's something that's being talked about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. On that note, do you have any upcoming shows? I think Thunderduck may want to pop up to Porto. Because you said before that you prefer the recording process to playing live. Is that the reason why you're not so keen on doing live shows here?
No. So part of my thing is I like to have a band. I don't really like to play by myself, just me and a guitar. That is just not fun for me. I like to interact with other musicians. And so I just, 3 years in, I'm starting to meet people. I think it's just, getting out there and meeting people. With the pandemic, just a lot of clubs in Porto got shut down, went out of business because of the pandemic. So I think that Porto's kind of just getting back on its feet as far as live music goes.
Yes. Okay. Well, maybe.
So anyway, but it's something that is on my mind,
Okay. Okay,
So,
and rolling these themes together then of playing live and the point that was made about how the state of the world, if you like, because T-Duck was saying the world situation is depressing, but it makes for great music. Often, it would seem that in difficult times in the world, that is a great outpouring of creativity, and not only that, but
I agree with that.
Yeah, and also social movement, of course, and a move towards better, higher ideals that are expressed in a music scene. So who knows, do you feel positive about that? How important music has been in the past to change the consciousness of a society? Because God knows we need it right now, don't we?
Yes, we do. I think there's a lot of good music out there. There's so much music out there. It's hard to find it. I mean, you have to listen to a lot of music to find new music that you like, or I do.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic. There's always going to be great music. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about the whole AI thing. They said, now AI is creating art and all this. And for me, that just makes people who actually create like I do, I think it's better for us.
I agree.
Because I don't care how good something is that AI does. It's not going to be as good as an artist, somebody who paints a painting or picks up a guitar and sings. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just
totally agree with you, Ron, because it's connected again, isn't it, with the consciousness that music can inspire and encourage, that changes the world, that changes people individually and can change societies, and how important music has been in the last 100 years, for example.
That's true.
I don't see that AI can deliver that spark that is
No.
the spark of inspiration. It can copy data, can't it? But it doesn't have the thing that you're talking about.
Exactly.
That's absolutely wonderful to hear that from you. Somebody who's
It's that crazy idea that pops out of your head.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think AI is going to have that crazy idea.
No, however hard they try and program that in, I think that is part of us, part of our unique humanness in this whole landscape and crazy times that we live in that we're referring to here. Back to the bluegrass question then. There is a festival coming up in September. Do you dabble in bluegrass? Do you like bluegrass? We have someone coming over, a great fan and player in bluegrass. What's your connection with that musical genre?
Bluegrass. Oh, yeah. I like bluegrass. You know, there's so many different genres of music. I wouldn't say that it's my, one of my favorites, but there certainly are a lot of accomplished bluegrass musicians. I have a friend in the States, Alan Mundy. He's a banjo player. He played with a famous bluegrass band, Country Gazette. And I used to hang out with him in Austin, and he's like a lot of musicians. Bluegrass was his thing, but he could play anything. He could play any kind of music, and I think that's the deal. I think you can like any and every kind of music, and you can have one thing that you do. But I think that if you're a well-rounded musician, you're going to be able to appreciate all genres of music.
I agree, absolutely. And I imagine that.
But I'm not. But am I a huge bluegrass fan? No, I'm not a huge bluegrass fan. My thing is I like psychedelic music from the '60s, and I guess you can probably tell that from listening to my album.
Yes, I can. Absolutely. And
to me, that was the beginning of my music addiction was back then. So I can't get away from it.
And great offerings from both sides of the Atlantic, I would say. I have
a friend, absolutely.
DJ, I have a DJ friend in the UK, and that's his thing: psychedelic music from both sides of the water from the '60s. Incredible music.
So, there's a Spotify playlist that I listen to called For What It's Worth, and it's all British psychedelic music that never saw the light of day. I never heard any of this stuff in the States.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. T-Duck saying I was a Deadhead too. And I sent him a lyric that I heard when I was listening again to the album this morning. There's a lyric that says airplane and dead, I think, from one of your tracks. So I had to send that to T-Duck because he's a dead.
Yeah. The ancient jukebox in my head plays the airplane and the dead.
I heard that. It stood out for me this morning as I was listening to the album again. It's been so. I'm keeping you past the 10:30 here. Thank you for being with us so early in the morning, Ron, as you said before. Oh, big fan of Midland as well. I want to ask you one more question, if I may. Somewhat random. It's refers to your biog on the website there, and you were a staff writer for Ireland, were you? Chris Blackwell's label.
Yes.
What's it like being a staff writer?
2 years. Oh, it wasn't like I went to work every day. It wasn't like I showed up and sat down and wrote. I just wrote and recorded songs and sent them in, and they I got paid. I got paid for 2 years for being on staff, but that was about it. Mm-hmm. I had some interact. I was living in Austin, and my nearest contact was LA, so it was just kind of a thing, Nothing really ever came out of it other than I got to meet some people and made some money.
Very nice. No, not to be sneezed at then. And I'm going back to the AI briefly then, and record companies, and being paid like that and being on the staff of a corporation. I imagine the record companies would quite like the sound of an AI song generator. But do they exist anymore, Ron? The going back to the 60s and 70s, probably the height and apex of all that was good and great about music and the music industry. Do record companies, publishing companies exist in the way that we're just referring to there with staff writers?
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe they do. No.
Right. So it's gone now.
I think it's gone. Yeah. I don't really know how it works these days, to tell you the truth. I know that to make any money, if you're a songwriter or a recording artist, the way to make money is to get your songs in a movie or on television, in a commercial, and go out and play live.
Yeah.
Selling records and songs is extremely difficult these days. People don't really want to buy. They get it free. They're not used to paying for music.
That's what's happened, isn't it? Certainly youngsters can't. The youngest of the music lovers these days won't remember going to the record store to buy their gatefold album, bring it home, all excited, opening it up, putting the record on the record deck, and opening up that gatefold to have a look at it. They just don't know about that, do they? And you're absolutely right.
No, that was fun, man. I used to love to do that.
Me too. And you would sit and listen to it, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be skipping through like you can with solid state music.
No, you'd listen from the first track, and then you'd flip it over and listen to the end.
Yep. And some people tuned in don't even know what we're talking about there, Ron.
Right.
If I can squeeze a quickie in as well, are you aware of Gerald Weber? T Duck is asking.
No.
Okay.
No, I'll check him out.
All right. And so finally then, and we'll go out with your tune, but thank you so much for being here. I'm going to play my final selection, Call Me Late, which I think is nice and upbeat for a Feel Good Friday. But Ron was saying there, people are used to getting music free. How about buying Ron's album? It's on Bandcamp. That's the link to do it. 8 great tracks. It was a real struggle for me to choose 3 of the best from those 8. Ron, thank you so much for being here. Will you keep us aware of what you're doing? We're big fans of your music, and we would love to share it.
Hey, Carl, I want to thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot.
Well, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. So
I'll be in touch.
Yeah, please do, and have a great day up there. Send our love to Porto, to the Blisses, and have a great weekend. Bon fin de semana. Lovely to meet you.
Okay, see you later.
Bye for now. I'm going to find that track and play that. Ciao, ciao. How wonderful. There is Ron Rogers. There's the website, and the link for buying the album is on the screen as well, ronrogers.bandcamp.com, and I'm going to play it as I suggested. With my final cut from the album, my final pick. The first was Portuguese Cowboys that you heard. Then we had Sink or Float. Finally, eventually, when I was able to get it onto the mixing desk via my phone, as it turns out, not the Gatefold album on the record deck. And my final selection then is Call Me Late, which is a nice upbeat number for this Feel Good Friday. Let me play that for you now. Come on, phone. Where? Wrong fader. Ron must think I'm a real amateur. Beset with technical problems this morning, but it can happen to anybody, I think. Let's play you Call Me Late now. There we go. Yay!
What's your name? That's what everybody says. What's your game? I'm trying to figure out what that is. Where you been? Where you going? Everybody wants to know. When I say I'm leaving, they call me so-and-so. Everybody wants to know, how do I sleep at night if I go they both alone? With my mouth wide open like some little kid. Well, honey, you don't know, but I wish you did. You can't call me Johnson, you can't call me Jay. You call me Little Ricky, you call me Rock Red. But honey, when you call me, just call me Lane. Call me that pretty baby, call me Lane. Call me that pretty baby. To my face, that's the price I pay for being in this place. Someday I'll be enlisted, and I won't that be a bore. Until then, feel free to telephone that I don't